Welcome to Checker Pro Radio. I am Checker Pro Joe, Jim Clouk here, and I've got one of my favorite guests who's an expert in heating and air conditioning, Nathan Shafer. How are you?
Hey, good, Jim. How are you doing?
I am living the dream. Thank you so much for joining me today here on the program. Okay, I want to be educated a bit, and so do the listeners. The questions come in to the show about heat pumps. And you've told me before that they've changed a lot over the decades, and they're really a great piece of equipment. So the question that's come in is, what is the difference between a heat pump and a furnace? And before you answer that question, I'm pretty sure they both heat your home, right?
Correct. Yeah, both heat your home, and both are going to be the primary source of heat for your home. So a furnace typically is going to be referring to a gas furnace, LP or natural. Technically is a furnace, and so that's going to be heating your home. Those can get up to the highest 97 or 98% efficient, depending on the brand and makeup of the furnace. But that's at best, which meaning that even let's say it's in a perfect roast, the highest you can buy on the market is 98%. You're still losing 2% out the flue pipes. So for every dollar you spend in LP gas or natural gas, you're getting $98 of heat into the home. $2 is going out. That's on $100 analogy, but on a dollar, 98 cents is 2 cents is going out the flue pipe. An electric furnace has heating elements. That's 100% efficient in the fact that it's dollar for dollar. Whereas a heat pump, that's pulling heat out of the outside air across the condenser coil, and the refrigerant circuit then takes that heat and puts it into the home. The refrigerant circuit finishes that cycle. But those can be anywhere from 300%, 400% efficient, depending on the outdoor temperature. The colder it gets, the less efficient it is, but it's still going to be more efficient than 100% at electric or 98% at best with a gas furnace. And so dollar for dollar on an average, let's say it's 300%. If I spend $100 in electricity, I'm getting $300 of heat out of that system. And so heat pumps will save you dramatically on your utility bill, upwards of commonly you see 50 to 60% on your heating bills compared to just running an electric furnace or just a propane, gas furnace. Now that does pair with it because the system does go into defrost mode. So, in our climate here, we still may need in peak seasons, if it's sub-zero temps or something or negative temps, it's still that furnace will kick in to help that heat pump and/or when the system goes into defrost mode, it has to keep the frost melted off the outdoor unit in the weather conditions. The furnace is going to kick in to still heat the house while that heat pump goes through that cycle. So the heat pump, to look at it outside, looks just like an air conditioner. To look at the outside of it, it's the internal components that makes that system run year round, both for heating and for cooling. And it basically just turns the reverse cycle of air conditioning in the wintertime and now makes the indoor coil hot that the air is blowing across instead of cold like it is in the summertime. So it just reverses the refrigerant circuit and now gives you a heating source instead of a cooling source.
Sounds a little more technologically advanced than just having a flame or an element in the furnace, but it sounds like it's more efficient.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And there's so many different options even on the heat pump, right? I mean, we're now in today's age, we have inverter-driven technology and things, and the systems become smart and they learn really the habits of the home and what the home needs. And so instead of just being on or off, it'll ramp up and down. It's not even single stage or two stage. It's got hundreds of steps into it to where the colder it gets, the more heat it needs, the faster it runs. It ramps up like a throttle if you picture. And same with the cooling side. So just more and more efficient and smart, and saving us on utilities and creating better comfort and quieter operating systems. The technology is quite impressive. And then of course, the other style of heat pump would be a ground source heat pump, which also known as geothermal systems. And so a geothermal system is just a heat pump as well, other than it's a ground source heat pump. So it's pulling the heat out of the earth, constant temperature all year round, instead of out of the outside air like a regular heat pump. So once again, to talk efficiencies, that ground source heat pump, or better known as a geothermal system, those can be 400 and 500% efficient. So even that much more efficient than an air source heat pump. So lots of options when it comes to heat pumps.
Geothermal is great. You probably have thought about this, and I have many times, and it's going to sound odd to most people, but why aren't we living underground? You don't need heat or air conditioning at a certain level subgrade. You don't. I mean, you literally can live in a cave and you don't need what we need, but we expose ourselves on top of the earth to all the elements, and we have to heat and cool. I would suggest if we didn't have a lot of money, we might want to dig our homes in the ground, because that's how geothermal works, right? Because it's a nice temperature down there.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like your air source heat pump, it still has a refrigerant circuit, and it just finishes the cycle, but it labors so much less because it's dealing with a constant temperature year round instead of the 95-degree day to 70-degree day to 20-degree day to zero. So a heat pump, has to fluctuate and work harder or less hard depending on the outside temperature. Whereas like geothermal heat pump, it's like just setting out on cruise control. It just purrs right along year round.
Yeah, geothermal is kind of like not having to go up or down hills. You're just coasting. It's always
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
And it's for those of you who are thinking of building a new home, you might want to think about building a home underground. Some people do. They'll build in the cliffs and stuff, and some people are really into that, and they're like, we don't even have to pay for heating or cooling, and they need ventilation of sorts, I guess, and you have to watch out for some other things, but it's very interesting. And on that note, Nathan, as always, thank you for joining me today, and thank you for bringing your expertise to the program.
Hey, my pleasure. Anytime. Thanks, Jim.